good? What's good? I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. What's good? What's good? What's good? What's happening? What's shaking? What's shaking? What's cracking? What's cracking? What up, y'all? It's your boy, the Ultimate Rage, coming back with yet another live like we do every day. Basically, you know what it is. You know what time it is. We're talking about reality. We're talking about existence. We're talking about humanity, life. What is our purpose? Our purpose as American citizens, our purpose as human beings. What does it mean to be alive? What does it mean to be sentient, sapient, understanding, capable individuals and human beings as a civilization, as a society? How do we improve upon things? What the hell does that even mean? What the hell am I even talking about? What am I talking about? I know a lot of you think these are the ramblings of a madman, of a crazy person, of an insane person, because I'm talking about something that's completely, totally, and utterly different from the norm. And yet, here we are talking about it because it needs to be talked about. See, the fact of the matter is that we need to go back to the drawing board. As a human race, we need to go back to the drawing board because the things that we're doing now are simply backwards. They don't make sense. It's causing us to regress as a society. So now we have to start re-understanding the nature of reality. What the hell does that even mean? We need to actually establish a baseline for our shared reality that we can all agree with, so that moving henceforth we can actually become reasonable, sensible people working towards creating a much more well-functioning society. A society that does not leave us out to be fucked, leaving us out to die, leaving us out to be freaking hungry, homeless, dirty, all of that. If we're civilized as we claim, then we should be working towards improving our civilization, right? We should be working towards constant improvement. What should be improved and why should it be improved? What does that even mean to improve it? What kind of metrics can we use to determine whether or not we're doing a good job at improving things? Because at the end of the day, we have to do something different from what we're doing right now. Our current course of action is senseless, ridiculous, preposterous, nonsense, illogical. And so that's why I'm informing you all. As much as I know a lot of y'all hate to hear it, but theism is suicidal. That's right. Theism is suicidal. It is suicidal for our society because it basically hinders our ability to understand the nature of our reality. And this is what you all have to do. Come up in here with your trolly behavior. Oh, that's so funny, because it's all you got. It's all you got. It's all you got. And then we wonder why we experience so much dysfunction. Because instead of taking the time to understand the nature of our reality, to understand why theism is suicidal, you rather focus on bullshit that doesn't matter. That's the type of society that we have grown accustomed to, where people are contributing nothing and pretending like they're doing something, where they're just saying a bunch of nonsense because at the end of the day, you have nothing. That's precisely what religion does. That's exactly what theism does. Runs around pretending like it's so useful and helpful when in reality it's doing the opposite. It's causing major destruction all over the world. It hinders our ability to understand the nature of reality. It causes us to keep going on this wild goose chase and having ridiculous conversations that are wasting our collective efforts and time. Religion, theism, is the greatest, longest running scam in human history because they sell people a product that doesn't even exist in real life. It gives people an idea that they have wisdom they don't actually have, which is the reason why they do everything possible to censor speech such as this, such as speech that is critical of their ridiculous nonsense. Because at the end of the day, if they could demonstrate that their belief system was real, true, actually comported with the reality that we share and inhabit together, then we wouldn't have the issues that we have as a human race. We wouldn't have the issues that we have as an American society. We would not be so low on the global peace index. We would not have a nation full of people who are scientifically illiterate and straight up just plain illiterate. We don't teach our children logic. We don't teach them critical thinking skills. We don't give people proper understanding of information, and thus we struggle to create a society that makes sense. Hey, Marie, what's cracking? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Much love to you too. At the end of the day, we have to move forward. And what does that mean? It means that we have to take a step back from the way we currently do things. We have to take a step back from the status quo and try to reassess our understanding of everything. At the end of the day, what are we trying to do as a human race, as a human society? What exactly are we hoping to accomplish in the grand scheme of things? Because right now, we're running around like a bunch of chickens with our heads cut off, having the most ridiculous, useless conversations in the world while we're sitting, failing to actually actively address all the fucking issues and problems that we face as a human race. Most people don't know right from wrong. Most people don't know right from wrong. People think that what they're doing is right, and then they literally try to abscond from the fact that what they're doing is wrong. That's why we have a society that has become oh so wrong. Because most people are delusional as hell and hate having their beliefs challenged. People are suffering from a mental health crisis. We as a nation are experiencing a crisis. Whether we're talking about people suffering from various disorders, people suffering from various addictions, people who have all kinds of worldviews and ideologies that simply are not helping us as a society. They hate being challenged in any way. They go into their echo chambers, they preach their nonsense, then they get in positions of power and decision making and keep trying to legislate that all across the nation, even though it's not helping us. It doesn't help us to solve any of the major problems that we face as a nation. Because it doesn't matter what your particular brand of delusion is, if you can't demonstrate how it actively, accurately, and effectively and efficiently helps us solve problems, then what good is it? We have all these problems like health issues. We got people suffering from cancer, addiction, various psychological disorders, hunger, homelessness, poverty, abuse. How do these different ideologies help us? How do they actually help to solve any of these issues? They've had a multiple 1,000-year head start to try to get a handle on these things, and all we see is that as our technology continues to evolve and improve, as our knowledge and wisdom continues to evolve and improve, none of these problems seem to be going away. Theism has not demonstrated to help us solve anything. People think every time some tragic calamity occurs, they can just offer their thoughts and prayers, and somehow that's going to solve anything. They think when a plane crashes, thoughts and prayers. Mass shooting happens, thoughts and prayers. A terrorist attack, thoughts and prayers. And yet these things continue to occur. They continue to happen all over the world, and especially here in America, all over the nation. When will theism ever solve any of these things? Oh, right, it doesn't. It never has, and it never will. That's why theism is suicidal. For us to use theism as our way of life is suicidal. because it doesn't actually address any of these issues that we face seriously. People claim they have a connection with this thing, this being thing, this greater power, higher power thing that they love to brag about and bandy on about on a constant basis. Yet every time I ask these fools to demonstrate its current whereabouts, they have nothing to offer. They start talking in code. They start talking in woo. It's like they're speaking English, they're speaking my language, but the words that they're stringing together aren't making a lick of sense. They can't demonstrate with plain English its current whereabouts. They can't show how they somehow connect and communicate with this thing and how they can use the wisdom of this thing to somehow help us solve any of these problems. It's so crazy how this thing, this God thing, this deity thing that they love to talk about can give these people everything except cures, clear-cut solutions, direct assistance, any of that. All we get are a bunch of excuses on top of excuses on the top of excuses. Things that don't actually hold any value. Things that don't actually help us to solve all these various domestic issues, existential threats, whatever the case may be. Basically, it's deluding oneself into thinking that believing bullshit actually helps us. And in fact, I'll go even further. A lot of these fools actively know that all these different issues, they can't solve it. But who cares, right? Because we have the afterlife. We get to go to heaven, and when we go to heaven, heaven's going to be super wonderful and amazing because blah, 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 blah. Yet every time I ask these fools to show me the current whereabouts of where this heaven place is, they ain't got nothing. They have nothing. And this is one of the issues, one of the big issues that we face as a human race. Look, I get it. The concept of dying is scary because we don't know what happens when we die. For all we know, you die and then you just disappear into nothingness. I don't know. I've never died before. I don't know what it means to die. And you know what? I'm really not trying to experience any of that at all. Which is why I'm really confused as to why theists think that their theism is so amazing, but it's not actually actively helping us in any tangible, meaningful way to ensure that we continue to survive. As a matter of fact, what we end up seeing is a lot of death cults all over the world throughout human history where they will sacrifice people, they'll sacrifice themselves. They think that, oh, if they die, their spirits will fucking fly onto a fucking asteroid that's also a spaceship and all kinds of stupid shit. Shit that doesn't actually help us at all. Things that don't ensure humanity's constant survival at all. As a matter of fact, it leads to typically an unnecessary loss of life. So many people have lost their lives for no fucking reason, either at their own hands or the hands of others, all in the name of some ancient sci-fi fairy tale. For what? For what? What is the purpose of any of this bullshit? In what way do these ideologies actually help us? When my uncle needed a new kidney and couldn't get one, he fucking died. My entire family acting goofy as fuck with their theism bullshit. My uncle ended up going to the hospital the day before a couple days before he passed. He went into a coma. Everybody, oh, please pray for Percy. Please, please pray for Percy. Please. Please. He's not doing well. He's not doing well. Couple days later, he woke up from his coma. Oh, praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. He woke up. And then he fucking died. Then he died. R.I.P. to my Uncle P. He was my favorite uncle. Dude should have been a fucking stand-up comedian. But the whole point of talking about that is that I got a whole entire family that would rather put all their energy, all the time, every day on the scam that doesn't accomplish anything but enriching the fools who are fucking manipulating them. It did nothing to help save my uncle and countless people all across the world who have died as a result of fucking cancer. All of these charlatans are actually actively hindering our ability to solve these issues because we need to be working interdependently with synergy to try to get a handle on all these different issues so that we can eliminate them from the human gene pool, eliminate them from human society so that we don't have to deal with all of these horrible, wretched diseases and ailments. But people would rather put all their energy into this fucking bullshit because it brings them comfort. What the fuck is the point of that comfort if you still eventually have to deal with the laws of physics in real life? What is the point in believing this nonsense if it doesn't help us solve any of the issues that we face as a human race? That's why I'm so passionate about this shit. Because we got climate change. We have potential asteroidal impacts. We have this Cold War that we have between the United States and Russia, the United States and China, fucking India and Pakistan, all these countries who threaten each other as a result of potentially mutually assured destruction for fucking what? Because these theists over here want to purport their bullshit, or some company over there wants to fucking make a couple extra thousand in their profit margin. What the fuck are we doing as a human race, man? What in the hell are we fucking doing? See, this is the reason why I say America is the capital, the scam capital of the world. We can't have real conversations about reality, about what exactly it is and how we can practically, effectively, and efficiently improve upon it for our collective benefit, for our collective health and wellness, and our continued ability to evolve and improve as a society moving henceforth. Everybody has all these ridiculous bullshit ass conversations where they pat themselves on the back all fucking day, every day, and ignore all the fucking horrible shit that they've done for the past couple decades, the past several decades. These two political parties that act like they're doing such a great job, even though we as a nation keep falling further and further and further and further on the global peace index, our fucking constant society, we see all this horrendous crime, all these horrible things that happen to good people every day all over the nation, and we can't seem to figure out what the hell is going on, even though we know damn well exactly what the hell is going on. We know exactly what's going on. There are so many levels to the bullshit that we are being inundated with on a constant basis from all these different interests, whether we're talking about the government, whether we're talking about corporations, the fucking industrial complex is what I call it. the industrial complex, all these different moneyed interests that have a vested interest in keeping things just like this because it's better for their profit margin, even if it means we as a society continue to suffer and continue to regress, to worsen as a result of their fucking profiteering. Let's face it. Okay, when it comes to free market economics, some companies just ain't gonna make it, right? Some companies can't succeed. The game is not fair. It's a dog-eat-dog world. That's what happens in the free market. Some motherfuckers make it, some motherfuckers don't. Some motherfuckers make it and then fall off. Some motherfuckers make it and stay on for a long time. But you never know what can happen because the economy is not just something that's totally predictable like any aspect of life. Right? Like the stock market, the fucking money markets, all these different things like casinos, you don't know what's gonna happen. You have no idea what can happen at any time. You have no idea whether or not a fucking hurricane just gonna pop out and fuck your whole life up. Phil, what up, my guy? What up? What up? What's cracking? You're late, buddy. It's all good. I was late as fuck too. But at the end of the day, we have all these different issues with our society, particularly in America. All these different corporations, all these different money interests that want to control the flow of information, who want to shape your behavior, shape your thought patterns, shape your voting habits, your eating habits, your living habits, so that you do everything that can help them constantly improve their profiteering, no matter how it affects you. Because they don't care about you. They don't care about us at all. They will burn this motherfucker down if it means a 10% increase in their profits by the next quarter. They don't give a shit. So that's why we as people have to take a step back from all the bullshit, and we got to come together to try to figure out what the fuck is going on and what we can do to fix it. And I say I already pretty much got it figured out. I got it figured out. I've been studying human behavior my whole life. I've always tried to see what the hell I could do to fit in, to be cool, and all this shit. And then I realized people are fucking full of shit. People far and wide are full of shit. That's why America's the capital, the scam capital. People have been duped by so many different entities. People have been duped by so many rich people, banks, and corporations to keep empowering them on a constant basis and devaluing themselves. This is the reason why I talk about religion being suicidal. This is why I talk about the rare earth hypothesis and the great filter hypothesis. Because check it out. By devaluing ourselves, we don't care whether we live or die. By not valuing human life, we ensure that at some point we will be fucked. Because we have all these issues we face and we're literally collectively choosing not to do shit, because who cares? Once we go to heaven, whatever the hell that means, and we're gonna fucking float away on the nice fucking fairy tale minivan. I don't know what the hell they're talking about. See, the thing is, we live in real life right here, right now. These people cannot demonstrate that there is a such thing as a heaven, a hell, a purgatory, whatever the fuck they want to claim is so real. They cannot demonstrate that there is such a thing. That is why they want to cling to this belief so hard, because they fear death. They fear the potential of just totally just not existing anymore. And because they're too lazy to understand that science is not the easiest shit in the world, they would rather just dismiss it outright. unless they can use it to help them. That is the issue we have as a society. We have too many people who dismiss science outright. And it's no wonder that we have so many people who are scientifically illiterate as fuck, doing everything in their power to work against our collective best interest by literally dismissing science as much as possible. Being like, you know what, fuck this science shit. We just love believing our religious nonsense. See, if I believe in the Lord and I pray super duper hard every night, one day, somehow, some way, magical things are gonna happen, and somehow, some way, it's bullshit. Mike, what up? What's good? What's good? What's good? Make sure you hit that like, by the way. Y'all need to stop playing. Y'all know I need them likes, fam. Why you here and you ain't hitting that like button? You know we gotta get these numbers up. You know we gotta get these numbers up. Because what are we trying to do, fam? Are we trying to save the world or what? Or do we want to just watch the world burn and fucking die, all of us? While we get F-17 hurricanes and tornadoes and shit. But figure it out, god damn it. No, YouTube's been tweaking. A lot of shit's been tweaking lately. But, hey, surprise, surprise, right? At the end of the day, thank you. What are we trying to do, man? That's why I ask these questions every single day. Because all it seems is that people are out here running around like goofies, believing whatever they want to believe. They want to believe in their fucking spirits. They want to believe in their fucking astrological sign. They want to believe in their freaking pet rocks or whatever the fuck. But at the end of the day, don't none of that shit make any fucking sense whatsoever. It's not helping us in any meaningful way, and in fact, it's hindering our ability to solve all these various problems. That is why delusion, whether you're talking about theism, whether you're talking about party loyalty and politics, all of that dumb shit, these conspiracy theories, they are suicidal. Suicidal, suicidal, suicidal. Because in the long run, how do these things actually help us? How do these things help us solve any of the problems that we face as human beings, as Americans? We got people suffering from all kinds of ailments. They suffer from all kinds of health issues, all kinds of psychological issues, all kinds of, poverty, homelessness, healthcare debt, student loan debt. What the fuck are we doing about it? How the hell does theism help us solve any of these things in any tangible, meaningful way? They've had thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands of years, thousands upon thousands of years to demonstrate that this shit can actually help us. There are billions upon billions upon billions of these people all over the fucking world who have existed throughout this thousands and thousands of years. And yet, not a single one of them has been able to demonstrate any of this shit to actually actively help us. What the hell is the point then? What the hell is the point? Why do these people feel the need to go out of their way to try to convince people of their non-existent, useless, illogical bullshit? These people are the worst salespeople of all time because they want us to believe their bullshit so bad. They want us to believe so bad. And yet they have nothing. Nothing to offer. Nothing to demonstrate. No kind of innovation. No cure for anything. No invention of any kind. They sit there and they pray and pray. Pray to the Lord and pray to the Lord all day. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. They can say this multiple times. Muhammad. And what the fuck is the point of any of that shit? The hell does that accomplish? Oh, you made Salah? Who gives a fuck? I'm sorry, sis, when did that end all homicides? Since when did that solve sudden infant death syndrome? When has that solved anything other than wasting my goddamn time? Wasting all of our goddamn time. You really think that doing this or going to church and fucking goddamn experiencing a seizure, catching the Holy Ghost, oh Lord, saying things because you thinking the time, blah, 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 blah. What the fuck is that? The hell does that accomplish? What is the point of that? What is the point of any of that? I don't care how you do. You want to get on your knees and do it all that. What the fuck does that do? What exactly does that do? This is the problem that we have with theism and all these different spirituality bullshit ideologies. I hate to break it to you, theists. This is accomplishing nothing. It never has accomplished anything. It never will accomplish anything. Ever. That's why it's suicidal. Because there's so many of these people all throughout the nation who would rather engage in this silly, nonsensical behavior than to actually do anything that's actually useful. They would rather spew their nonsense in every fucking chance they get on every platform, every avenue, every social media site. They will fucking troll you, troll me, go here, go there. They'll place ads on TV. They're leaving Bibles in every hotel room as if that shit helps at all. Funny how all these people subscribe to this nonsense and not one of them has figured out a cure for AIDS or some shit. A cure for the clap. They can't even cure the clap. They can't even clap the cure. Clap the cure for the clap. They can't cure the clap and clap the cure. What the fuck are they doing? Then they want to get mad. They want to get mad at me. They want to get mad at people like us because we actually have the nerve to openly challenge their nonsense. They'll jump into the chat and spew, no, 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 you totally wrong. Jesus real. Allah real. Krishna real. The Jedi Master totally real. Blah, 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 blah. They're willing to kidnap, maim, disfigure, outright murder anyone who disagrees with them all over the world. And what exactly does that accomplish? How exactly does that help us at all? How are these different organizations actually helping us? How are they helping their nations, their respective societies, their respective communities? What are they doing to help them? Because last time I checked, these hyper-religious nations are at the bottom on the Global Peace Index. They really need to knock it the hell off. Because what exactly are they hoping to accomplish? What exactly is their goal? What is the end goal of any of this? What is the end goal of theism? What are they trying to accomplish? And what is what they're trying to accomplish? How does what they try to accomplish help us improve? How does theism help us improve? In what useful way does theism help us right now? And that's what they have to do, Phil. That's what they have to do. They have to gaslight people. They have to fucking brainwash people, indoctrinate people, because it's all they got. They have to control speech. They have to censor speech. They have to censor people like us so that they can prevent us from being able to get the word out that their shit does not make any sense. Because if what they said made sense, they could make their case to the rest of us. It shouldn't be difficult at all. We shouldn't have to have these conversations on a constant basis. We shouldn't even need to have these conversations at all, because we should already be past this point. But these fools have been in control for literal eons, and we are finally beginning to win in the war and challenging their bullshit. Because at the end of the day, they have nothing. It's only so long fake thugs can pretend. But at the end of the day, these people have literally nothing. They have nothing that they can present, nothing that they can publish, nothing that they can actually demonstrate, nothing that they can show us. That's why I do these lives. That's why I do lives, because if they had the truth, they should be able to show us live. It shouldn't be that difficult for them to show us that whatever it is that they believe was actually true and useful, was actually going to help society improve and evolve and help us actually create a better, much more well-functioning society. What we see instead is the opposite happening. I watched a documentary yesterday. Well, it wasn't a documentary, it was just a video, YouTube video, whatever you want to call it. YouTube documentary about this preacher who manipulated all types of people into giving him all their money. Right? Because, you know, he's a man of God. He's a man of God. So, of course, you got to trust him. All because he was a Christian pastor, these people gave him all their money. And even after all of that, these people are still Christians. Still. They didn't realize the actual scam. They didn't realize that every level of this bullshit was a scam. Because by believing in this ridiculous ideology, you are enriching an organization that's contributing nothing of any actual value to society. What are they doing? What are they doing that's so wonderful and helpful? What do these churches, what do these organizations actually do to progress humanity? To further humanity, to ensure our collective survival, to improve our ability to cure and treat various diseases and ailments, to help us understand more and more about the world, about the universe, about existence itself, that allows us to manipulate it to our collective benefit. How exactly does theism help us in any way? Oh, right. Theists have nothing that they can show us, which is why I say God is nothing. And the irony is that the something that they claim created everything, they have nothing to show for it. They have nothing to present. They can't provide us with this current whereabouts. They can't provide us with a method to detect it, a method to communicate with it, whatever it is, whatever it's supposed to be. They have no problem exclaiming with extreme passion, yes, this thing is real. It's real, it's real, it's totally real, it's so real. Then why can't a single one of them, demonstrate anything about it other than their favorite sci-fi fantasy novel? Well, see, here's the thing. It's not that hard in and of itself, right? Like, people believe wrong things all the time. People get corrected about things all the time. We just need to create a society that encourages correction. Actual correction. Not the house of corrections, but a literal correction. That's why I say we need to go back to the drawing board when it comes to humanity and try to figure out what the fuck are we trying to do? What exactly are we hoping to accomplish? What is our ultimate purpose? What should be our ultimate purpose? Because right now, all these people that talk about this non-existent entity thing, whatever the fuck they're talking about, that's delusional, and it's not helping us. It is suicidal for us to keep pursuing this ridiculous nonsense, to keep chasing this non-existent dragon like it's some kind of fucking religious drug or something. Like it's some kind of high or something. What the hell are we actually hoping to do? What are we trying to do? So that's why I say we should work towards becoming what's called a Kardashev Type 1 civilization. So check this out. No, it's only a couple of y'all, but hey, we rocking. We chilling. We doing our thing. So what I'm going to do is show you guys a fucking video. I'm going to show y'all a video about what the hell I'm talking about. Where the fuck did it go? What the fuck? Hold on. Oh, here we go. Alright, let's check it out. Check it out. Check it out, y'all. Check it out. Check it out. Check it out.
We have come to a point where we can assume how civilizations are going to be in the future. Join me as I explain the Kardashev scale. The Kardashev scale ranks the technological capabilities of a civilization according to the energy it is able to manipulate and exploit. The scale was invented in 1964 by the Russian astronomer Nikolai Semenkovich Kardashev, who was looking for signs of extraterrestrial life within cosmic signals, and proposed a scale for ranking these hypothetical civilizations based on their energy consumption. So the Kardashev scale was developed as a way of measuring a civilization's technological advancement based upon how much usable energy it has at its disposal. The scale has three types that follow the scale of astrophysical structures in our local universe. The basic calibration is based on three energy positions on the scale corresponding to the ability to fully manage the energy resources of an inhabited planet. Type 1, the star of the respective solar system. Type 2, and its galaxy. Type 3. Other astronomers have expanded the scale to Type 4 and Type 5. Samples of civilizations that could correspond to the Kardashev scale are both terrestrial and other supposedly extraterrestrial civilizations. Due to the fact that the American astronomer and astrophysicist Carl Sagan wanted to classify our current civilization, he noticed that we are not Type 1 yet, and he explained and calibrated the scale before Type 1. The reason why human race is not even on Type 1 yet is because we continue to maintain our energy needs from dead plants and animals here on Earth. We are just a humble culture, Type 0, and we still have a very long distance to go before promoted to a Type 1 civilization. According to Carl Sagan, in 1900, during the Industrial Revolution period, our terrestrial civilization was at 0.58, while in 2012 it was at 0.72 on the scale. Freeman Dyson estimated that we will probably reach Type 1 in 100 to 200 years, Type 2 in the year 11,200, and Type 3 in 100,000 to 1 million years. Before we continue with our explanation of the Kardashev scale, be sure to like or dislike the video so that we can continue to improve and make these videos better for you, the viewer. Plus, be sure to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss any of our weekly videos. Now let's examine on a closer look some features of the 4 energy positions. What does each of these categories really mean in literal terms? Type 0. A Type 0 civilization is based on energy which can derive mainly from sources where energy forms are mildly stored and are found before the specific type 1, 2, 3. Our culture today belongs to Type 0, which uses sources such as coal, oil, or natural gas. As we mentioned before, it is understood that we have not reached Type 1 in the Kardashev scale yet. Type 1. A Type 1 civilization has complete control over the energy of its host planet. As a Type 1 civilization, we would be capable of controlling Earth entirely. So this civilization has managed to tame and consume the energy offered to it by its own planet, which it fully controls. It would, for example, be capable of collecting all the starlight that falls on the planet. However, the ability to harness all of the Earth's energy would also mean that we could have control of all natural forces. The temperature, the climate of the planet could be controlled in the same way that we could control volcanoes, weather conditions, and even earthquakes. It is possible that weather or even earthquakes can be changed at will by this civilization. So we could influence the nature. At least that's the basic idea. These things are hard to believe, but compared to the advances that can be made in the coming years, imagine that these are just basic and primitive levels of control. Type 2.
Alright, so I'm going to leave it right there. But this is what we should be able to do right now. Okay? This is what we should be focusing on accomplishing as a civilization instead of sitting around holding our hands, praying to something that we can't demonstrate is there, hoping that things magically happen. Because what the fuck does that do? The hell does that accomplish? We should be trying to understand how we can control our weather, how we can control our climate, the oceans, the hurricanes, the tornadoes, the volcanic eruptions, in ways that actually maximize our society, our environment for peak optimization. Instead, people actively refuse to contribute to these endeavors. They would rather sit around believing nonsense, worshiping something that they can't demonstrate exists, like a bunch of freaking mentally disabled people. And frankly, it's killing us. It's killing us. Because why are they so obsessed in worshiping death? Worshiping nonsense, worshiping something they can't demonstrate, and then they make it seem like we're the horrible people for having the nerve to question their beliefs, to challenge their beliefs. I get people all the time, what do you care that I believe in the Lord? I'm not hurting anybody. I'm not hurting anyone. This is just what I want to believe. But what you don't realize is you're hurting everyone. You're hurting everyone. Because as long as you continue to perpetuate this nonsense, you harm our ability to think logically and critically so that we can solve all the issues that we have, so that we can move on to bigger and better things, so that we can figure out new problems that need to be solved so that we can solve them. Instead of wasting our time with this elementary goofiness. You feel what I'm saying? So I'm going to play you another video. Y'all can check this video out on your own time. That was by Insane Curiosity, the Kardashev scale. But now I'm going to show you a video from my guy, David Kipping, who is a NASA scientist, about the actual numbers of becoming a Kardashev Type 1 civilization. So let's break this shit down. Hold on. Exactly, fam. No more natural disasters. We can actually control everything so that, hey guys, we're going to do the earthquake at 4 p.m. next Tuesday. So make sure you have all, you know what I'm saying? Like, why the fuck Do we have to walk around not knowing when the next one to hit and if that's gonna be the big one? Fuck that shit.
In 1964, Nikolai Kardashev reasoned that the most fundamental way to classify how advanced a civilization was based on its energy consumption. The more energy they consume, which means control, then the more sophisticated the civilization must be. Kardashev even proposed a scale for quantifying how advanced civilizations are. He called a civilization type 1 if it was able to harness all of the energy striking its planet from the parent star, which for the Earth is about 1.7 times 10 to the 17 watts. Such a civilization should have complete control of their planetary environment, weather, and resources, as well as their local orbit. Going further, a Type 2 civilization would have a power consumption comparable to the output of a star, which for the sun is 3.8 times 10 to the 26 watts. Such a civilization would be using stars as engines effectively, harnessing them using constructions such as Dyson spheres perhaps. Finally, a Type 3 civilization would have a power consumption comparable to a galaxy. That's something like 5 times 10 to the 36 watts. Such a civilization would be so advanced, it's very difficult for us to make any kind of predictions about what they would be like, and thus there's probably not too much point worrying about Type 4 or 5 or 6 beyond that either. Now you might wonder, where does humanity fall on this scale? Well, it was Carl Sagan who extended Kardashev's idea to a continuous scale by noting that the energy levels are logarithmically uniformly distributed, and thus one can fit a straight line through the log of these 3 power levels. So I'm showing you the 3 energy levels here. Let's repeat Sagan's calculation and fit the 3 power levels assuming a log linear law. This gives us the following equation for our Kardashev level K, where P is the power used by your civilization in watts. Now, last year in 2017, humanity's average power consumption was 17.9 terawatts. That would give us a Kardashev score of 0.60. Yet you might say that 0.6 isn't too far off 1.0, but remember this scale is logarithmic. So in order to go from 0.6 to 1, we have to increase our power consumption by a factor of 1 million. Now, there are those out there who would say no problem. Humanity's growth is itself exponential, and thus we should achieve Type 1 status in a matter of centuries.
But if you get a calculator, you can calculate when we will attain Type 1 status. The answer is in about 100 years.
But does this check out? Okay, so here's the average power consumption of humanity over time, and at first glance, such a claim seems reasonable. It does look exponential. If we take the logarithm of the power axis there, then the growth certainly looks exponential, even in log space up to the mid-20th century. And that's something we call hyper-exponential growth. But in more recent decades, that hyper-exponential growth behavior has shut off. And so clearly extrapolating this data into the far future is going to be sensitive to what model you assume. Okay, so let me show you 4 models that I fitted to this data set. First, the most common is the exponential and a hyper-exponential in red and orange respectively. Then, a logistic and a hyperlogistic model are coming in green and blue. A logistic function looks like a leaning S, and it mimics the growth of biological populations, which tend to explode and then saturate at some maximum capacity level. Now, as you can see, all 4 of these models do a pretty good job of explaining the current data. But if we go forward in time, they give very different predictions about the future. The exponential model sees us becoming a Type 1 civilization by about 4100 AD, whereas the hyper-exponential is far sooner in the mid-2300s. Now, whilst those numbers seem promising, both of the logistic functions predict we'll actually stabilize that energy consumption way before becoming a Type 1, predicting a maximum Kardashev score for humanity of something like 0.65. Now, the real point here is to show you that you can come up with a wide variety of seemingly plausible models to explain the current energy trends we've seen over the last couple of centuries. But extrapolating those models into the far future leads to wildly different predictions. But for the sake of this video, let's be optimistic. Let's assume that we do not saturate at some capped energy level, but we keep on growing up to type 1 status. So what would that even look like? How would we increase our energy by a factor of 1,000,000? Today, humanity gets its energy consumption from a variety of sources, such as fossil fuels, geothermal, nuclear fission, wind, waves, tides, and solar. First off, fossil fuels are really not a contender as a pathway to becoming a type 1 civilization, because even at current levels of usage, we're likely to dry up our oil reserves in about a century, let alone if we increased our energy demand by a factor of 1,000,000. It's really not a candidate. And that's not to say anything about the stupidity of turning your home planet into a giant greenhouse. But what about using the Earth itself? Let's take wind and wave power. The first thing to note there is that wave power is largely driven by the wind, so you can't really double dip on both. There is some debate about exactly how much energy is contained within the Earth's winds, but we do know, of course, that winds are ultimately generated by the sun's energy warming up the atmosphere. So a starting point is to note that the Earth's surface absorbs about 9 times 10 to the 16 watts of solar radiation. Now that power warms the entire Earth, but wind power is generated by the residuals, the thermal differences between regions. In 2004, Vaclav Smil estimated that at best about 2% of this incident energy ultimately gets transferred to the air in the form of kinetic energy. And so wind power has to be less than this number. So put together, wind power and by proxy wave power would have a maximum theoretical power level of about 1800 terawatts, and that's assuming 100% efficient energy extraction. Now what about tidal energy though? Tidal energy is different. It is generated not by solar radiation, but by the gravitational influence of the moon and the sun. The total amount of power dissipated through tides by the Earth's oceans is now well determined, with techniques such as altimetry, satellite and lunar laser ranging all agreeing on a value of 3.7 terawatts. And it's a similar story for geothermal energy, which is ultimately driven by the internal heat of the Earth itself. That gives you about 47 terawatts. Again, not at the right level for what we need. Now this just leaves us with 2 contenders left in the game: solar energy and nuclear energy. Present day nuclear power plants use fission to generate their energy. That's the splitting of heavy atomic elements. But it has long been a dream that we could exploit the nuclear fusion process in the future. That's the combination of lighter atomic elements together. Now it's a long-running joke that nuclear fusion power plants are always 40 years away from us. It never seems to get any closer. But let's just make the assumption we'll figure this out one day and we will have nuclear fusion power. And nuclear fusion can happen with the combination of really any 2 elements you want. But the most energy efficient process identified for nuclear fusion power plants is the combination of deuterium and tritium. Now these 2 are heavy isotopes of hydrogen, which is a fancy way of saying they just have extra neutrons in their atomic nucleus than a hydrogen atom does. Now fortunately there's no shortage of deuterium here on the Earth. There's something like 40 trillion tons of the stuff just in our oceans. Tritium, however, is far rarer. It's only found in trace amounts inside water. So typically it is produced by the reaction of free neutrons and lithium inside nuclear reactors. Now that sounds great, but lithium is also a fairly rare commodity too. There's only about 13 million tons of the stuff in the ground, in the reserves that we have, but there's probably an extra 200 billion tons of the stuff dissolved in seawater. So if we had access to all of that lithium that's dissolved, we'll be able to make something like 90 billion tons of lithium. Now, since each deuterium-tritium fusion reaction creates 17.59 mega electron volts of energy, we would expect the total amount of energy that we could extract from nuclear fusion would be something like 5 times 10 to the 28 joules. That would be enough to power a Type 1 civilization's energy needs for approximately 10,000 years. So nuclear fusion could be a viable pathway to becoming a Type 1 civilization, but what about solar? Well, of course, solar energy is generated from the sun, and it's important to remember that the sun is In essence, a giant nuclear fusion power plant in the sky. Now, on the Earth, one of the big problems with nuclear fusion is confinement. How do you keep this hot plasma together at extreme enough pressures and temperatures in order to kickstart the nuclear fusion process? But on the sun, confinement happens for free. It happens from the own self-gravity of the star itself. Yet more, space is very empty, and thus the transmission of energy from the sun to the top of the Earth's atmosphere is essentially lossless. Finally, there is clearly enough power to become a Type 1 civilization from solar, because that's actually how we define a Type 1 civilization. It's one which uses all of the solar radiation incident upon its planet. So, all you need to do is tile your planet with solar cells, and hey, you're a Type 1. Now you'll say, wait, where would I live? Well, this doesn't mean there's no living space, it just means all of the living space is underneath the solar panels. However, even this extreme scenario is probably not enough, because solar cells are not 100% efficient. Modern solar technology is something like 25% efficient, and there are some laboratory demonstrations which approach 50% efficiency. But a 100% efficient solar cell is impossible. And that's because the maximum theoretical efficiency of such a device is governed by the ratio of the temperature of the receiver to the temperature of the emitter. In our case, that's the Earth to the Sun. The so-called Carnot efficiency of this system would be, at best, 95%. We could never do better than that. And you might say, no worries, I'll just build a giant solar cell farm in space and beam the energy back to the Earth. But even that has some problems. The conservation of energy now becomes your enemy. Energy cannot be destroyed or created. It can only be transformed from one form to another. And that's not some Jedi doctrine, that's the first law of thermodynamics. If a civilization uses a certain amount of energy to power their civilization, that energy doesn't just disappear after they're done with it. It becomes waste heat. It warms their planet. And that statement is true no matter what your energy source is, be it solar, nuclear, or antimatter. Right now, the waste heat generated by humanity's activities is so minuscule, it really doesn't make any difference to the temperature of the planet. But for a Type 1 civilization, it's a different kettle of fish. One way to calculate this is to take the solar energy scenario, and I'm going to walk you through a very simple calculation for the equilibrium temperature of the Earth. That's a very basic calculation we often give our students in intro-level classes here. Using the Stefan-Boltzmann law, one can show that a planet's temperature approximately equals this, where I've labeled here the various terms for you. The albedo term is the key here. That's how much light is reflected back into space without ever being absorbed by the planet. For the Earth, it's about 30%. Now, if you are a Type 1 civilization, you do not want 30% of the solar radiation to be reflected back into space. That's energy that you need to power your civilization with. So by tiling your planet with very efficient solar panels, you essentially make your planet very, very dark, dropping the albedo here down to 0. So hopefully you can see from this equation that if I decrease the albedo, I'm going to raise the temperature. And in fact, it would raise the Earth's temperature by about 24 degrees Celsius or 43 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's really huge. It would render large portions of your planet completely uninhabitable. And you can't really geo-engineer your way out of this problem either. For instance, the idea of building a giant space-based mirror, such as in the trailer Cloudhead that we did in the last video, that's not going to work, because then you're reflecting away the very energy that you need to power your civilization. And switching to a different energy source than solar, say nuclear power, is really not going to help you. In fact, it's going to make things even worse. Because now, not only do you have to dissipate all of the waste heat generated by your nuclear reactors, but you also still have to get rid of all of that energy which your planet is absorbing from the sun anyway. You have twice the problem to deal with. So no matter how you look at it, becoming a Type 1 civilization is going to cause your planet to warm up. So I would claim that a Type 1 civilization maybe has 2 options for getting around this. Let me know if you have other options you can think of. One would just be to build a giant air conditioner, have everybody live inside and keep those small volumes cool. Okay. Another option, which might be a bit more realistic, I think, would be that to relax this assumption that we have to live on a single planet, to let our civilization spread out to the other planets and moons in your solar system. That way you don't have to dissipate all of the energy in a single location, allows you to keep each of those bodies a bit cooler. So hopefully I've convinced you at the end of this video that becoming a Kardashev Type 1 civilization would dramatically change our way of life. It's not going to be business as usual. Scientists like myself do these types of thought experiments and calculations because ultimately we're interested in what these civilizations would look like in our telescopes. And the only way you can really figure that out is to sort of put yourself in their shoes and imagine what your planet would be like, which is kind of what we've done in this video. If you're interested in the detection of such civilizations, I'm actually hoping to organize a meeting about that topic in Houston later this year.
All right. Now, I wanted to play that whole video because I want you to be able to see, from my perspective, what we are talking about, what that looks like in real life, the things that we would have to accomplish in order to accomplish this overarching goal of becoming a Kardashev Type 1 civilization, and that we actually hear from an actual legit scientist about what that looks like and what that means and how we can actually achieve these goals. And that's why it's so important that we work interdependently with synergy to make these things happen, because it's not going to happen by magic. It's not going to happen by hoping and wishing. We actually have to put our brain power together so that we can actually figure out all of this shit. And people who want to be lazy and waste their time on goofy shit does not help us to accomplish this type of shit. It doesn't help us figure out what these different solutions should be to our energy needs. And that is one of the biggest things that we need to figure out if we ever hope to become a Kardashev Type 1 civilization. To actually think about this shit in a realistic, serious way instead of just bullshitting around all day. It frustrates me so hard that we have a nation full of people who don't care about the reality that we actually inhabit, who don't care about actually trying to understand all these different things and how they can contribute positively to figuring this shit out. Because as you can see, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be just, oh, all we got to do is press a button and boom, it happens. No, we're actually going to have to do the work to really try to understand how we can create a Kardashev Type 1 civilization, how we can transform our society to a Kardashev Type 1 civilization. It doesn't mean, okay, we just got to fucking just sit around praying, reading the same old ancient sci-fi fantasy comic book, because that doesn't help us at all. It doesn't help us to get a handle on. It's like the idea that people don't even want to believe that something like climate change is real or not. It's like that mind state that somebody could even think like that and not want to say, well, whether it's true or not, let's just gain control of the climate just in general. Figure out climate so that we can totally master it, so that we can actually use it in a way that helps us to our collective benefit. The fact that these people would rather say, nah, I'd rather believe this old ancient bullshit so that, oh, if I get hit by a tornado one day, well, I guess it was God's will. I guess it was the Lord's will. Why do we lack the collective will? Welcome back, Mike. Why do we lack the collective will to actually figure out all these different things, to actually control all these different aspects of nature so that we can actually create a better, much more well-functioning society? You miss a lot, Mike. But I'm going to tell you this. If you haven't already, check out this video by Cool Worlds, Becoming a Kardashev Type 1 Civilization. Because The whole point is that theism is not helping us. Oh, okay, good for her. Good, that's what's up, fam. Well, do what you gotta do. I'm just saying, if you haven't already, check out this video on your own time. Because I just played it for Phil. But overall, these are the things that we should be talking about as a society. These are the goals that we should be setting for ourselves and working towards, instead of wasting our time with ridiculous ancient sci-fi ideologies that are useless, that are worthless, that don't actually help to contribute to the progression and the furtherance of humanity, that don't help us to actually survive and thrive and expand out into the cosmos, so that we can catalog all of these different things that are out there, so that we can understand as much as we can about everything. That's why I always ask, what are we trying to do? What are we trying to accomplish as a society? What is it that we are hoping to learn, that we are hoping to discover, and that we actually hope to accomplish in the grand scheme of things? If we take reality to its logical conclusion, if we take it to the very, very, very end, whatever the hell that means, what is it that we are hoping to have accomplished by that time? What are we hoping to have accomplished by the end of it all? Most people don't even think about these questions because they're not taught to think about these different questions. They're not taught to think in these different ways, and where we actually question the nature of our reality, where we question the nature of our society, where we question the nature of authority, and whether or not they're doing a good job leading us into the future. Because by now, it is clear beyond a shadow of a doubt, these motherfuckers don't know what the hell they're talking about. That's why I say all the time this whole time. They have no understanding. These so-called leaders don't know any of this shit. That's why I say that America has become a what's called a kakistocracy. A nation run by a bunch of corrupt idiots who don't know what the hell they're talking about. The mere fact that none, I repeat, none of them are talking about things like this and how they're going to actually help us work towards becoming a Kardashev Type 1 civilization, in my opinion, means that they are unqualified to lead. They can't demonstrate to us how their stances, how their beliefs, how their policies are going to help us in these actual ways of becoming the Kardashev Type 1 civilization, because that is not their focus, that is not their concern. This is why we as a people, we as a nation, we as a human race need to rethink what it is that we are hoping to do, what we are hoping to accomplish, what our aims and our goals are. Because first, we have to get real with reality. That's why I'm an atheist and an anti-theist. Because we have to try to do our best, to do our due diligence, to understand the nature of reality as it is. Not what we hope it to be, not what we wish it to be, but what it is. We have to understand what it is so that we can mold it into what we want it to be. And then we have to determine what it is that we want it to be. If you want it to be some super magical sci-fi fantasy land, guess what? We could actually make that happen. If you get your head out of your ass with that theistic nonsense. You want to make Jesus Christ Superstar real cool. Let's do what we can to understand reality as it is, and we can set you up with your virtual home where you can enjoy all that goofy shit to your heart's content. But right now, while we are living in reality, let's try to understand reality. Let's actually try to understand physics and chemistry and biology, astrobiology, astrochemistry, astrophysics. Let's try to get these different sciences to work together so that we can understand even more. Let's try to actually improve upon the human body by eradicating all genetic diseases, all health issues. Why can't we try to extend the human lifespan by a significant margin within our lifetimes right now? How does how the fuck does that help us? Bruh, I don't change nothing. Everything is the same. Everything is the same. Everything is the same. By the way, I should let you know, I just started a Patreon, patreon.com/theultimaterage. I just added a new track. There's Old to Me, New to You. As a token of my appreciation. $5 a month. I'm going to be trying to upload all types of bonus content, behind the scenes, and all that type of shit there. So if you're interested, check out my Patreon, patreon.com/theultimaterage. Right? So, yeah. But yeah, so that's why I say that theism is suicidal. I know a lot of people might think that that's controversial, or that that's so evil or mean or whatever, but at the end of the day, again, I posit this question to everybody watching: how exactly does theism help us to solve any of the issues that we face right now, here in America, all over the world? How does it help us in any way? Like, actually, literally help us in the way that only theism can actually help us, that only literally theism, nothing else. Theism. What is it that theism provides that actually helps us in any tangible, meaningful way? They've had thousands upon thousands of years to show us that they can actually help us, and all I've seen is that it's largely destructive as hell. Destructive as fuck. And look, if you are a destructive person, cool. We need to keep you locked away in a cage. And what do you know? Prisons are filled to the brim with theists. Not all theists are criminals, but most criminals are theists. Most criminals are protected by theistic organizations. Well, I shouldn't say most, a lot of them. A lot of criminals are protected. Hell, some of these criminals run these theist organizations. Theism is the greatest, longest running scam in human history. The greatest, longest running MLM scam in human history. They're constantly selling and selling and selling something that doesn't even exist. And they preach it all around the world. They build billboards. They make billboards all for this shit. You can't even cross the country without seeing some ridiculous theistic nonsense. Yet, what we don't see is the thing that they purport is the realest aspect, the core aspect of their belief system. This God thing, this Jesus person thing, whatever the fuck they claim it to be. They can't even agree on the nature of the thing that they believe to be so real. If it was so real, why the fuck are there all these different religions and subdivisions and different fan fictions of these sci-fi fantasy nonsensical ideas? These nonsensical ideologies. If they were so real, why is it so difficult for them to demonstrate to us what the hell they are talking about? Why is it so hard for them to demonstrate to us how they can actually help us and contribute to society in any tangible way that is not possible by purely secular means? How is theism ever going to help us become a Kardashev Type 1 civilization if theism absolutely refuses to purport or to help disseminate the idea that we need to do what we can to understand as much as we can about reality in the first place? If theism was true, the scientific method would prove it. It would eventually prove it. So you would think that theists would be the most pro-science people in the world, because the whole point of science is to understand as much about reality as we can. That's why we have so many different sciences that are constantly improving and evolving, and that's why we're being forced to develop even newer forms of science, so that we can bring some of these different disciplines together to understand different aspects of reality to the best of our ability. Because if we want to become a Kardashev Type 1 civilization and beyond, then we have to understand as much as we can about everything we can. And it's not going to be easy. I never once said this is just going to be a straightforward process. All we got to do is just vote for this or vote for that or press a button or read this book or read. No. There are so many things that we can discover. The universe is our oyster. But we have to choose collectively that this is what we hope to accomplish, that this is what we want to accomplish. This thing right here, this goal right here, becoming a Kardashev Type 1 civilization. Because why would we not want to accomplish that? Why would we not want to master the earth? What is a good reason? Please provide me with a good reason as to why we shouldn't try to master the earth as much as possible. To try to understand as much as we can about our home planet so that we can actually maximize its capabilities, maximize our environment, maximize our society's ability to reach peak optimal levels in every which way, in every form. The environment, our fucking educational facilities, our society, our quality of life, the safety of our neighborhoods, the air that we breathe, the water that we drink, ensuring that they're clear, free of pollutants, free of things like microplastics, so that we can actually ensure that we can have maximally fucking optimal health, so that we can treat and even cure all the ailments that have plagued us for eons, so we can actually figure out how to halt and how to reverse aging, how we can extend the human lifespan, how we can actually eradicate pain, how we can eradicate all these different psychological disorders, and in fact improve our minds so that we're actually better, superhuman, so that we can have maximum logic and reasoning capabilities, critical thinking abilities, so that we can make the best, most reasonable, moral and ethical decisions that best maximize the quality of life for us all here in America and throughout the world. Where instead of all of this ridiculous conflict, we can conflict about the best method to build a warp drive or some shit, so that we can develop the best method for star lifting or some shit. So we can decide, you know what, we should build a colony on Mars, but then again, it might be better to do it on the moon, because why can't we walk and chew bubble gum? Why are we making it harder for ourselves to accomplish all these different things? Because all of these things are things that we can accomplish within our lifetimes if we actually work towards it. And then who knows what we could accomplish. We're talking about we have billions upon billions of people on this earth. Imagine if we all, or if a majority of us decided, you know what, fuck all the bullshit. We're going to work towards actually improving humanity, improving human society, understanding as much as we can about everything as much as we can. There is no telling how advanced we could become. There is no telling all the different feats that we could accomplish The time is now. The time is now for us to knock it off with this delusional ancient sci-fi fantasy bullshit, and that we actually work with this science reality real shit. Instead of sci-fi, let's go sci-ri, sci-real, sci-re. Whatever the fuck, I just came up with this shit. I'ma fucking figure this shit out. But why can't we do science reality? Why do we have to fucking sit back and have these pointless arguments that lead to nothing? Why can't we have these high-level conversations where we're actually trying to figure out all these different solutions to all these different problems that we have been facing? That's why I do these lives every day. Because I feel, in fact, I know that I can make the case as to why this is so much more useful. Becoming a Kardashev Type 1 civilization, how it's way more useful than worshiping the Lord, worshiping Jesus, worshiping Allah Akbar, and all of this fucking Hindu bullshit and all this other conspiracy theory MAGA nonsense. Because what the hell is that shit? What the hell is that shit? So, that's why I ask, what are we doing? What exactly are we fucking doing as a human race? What could we ever hope to accomplish as a human race, as American citizens? What is it that we are actually trying to do? What are our goals? How are we going to accomplish these goals? How are these fucks ever going to help us accomplish any of these goals? That's why I talk about the current state of American politics. That's why I talk about how neither of the two parties are actually helping us achieve these goals. And I have no idea why people think that constantly enabling these fools who have failed for decade after decade after decade to help us create a well-functioning society. Why do we keep enabling them? Why do we keep empowering them when they are not empowering us, when they are not helping us, when they don't value us, when they don't even care about us? They pay us lip service and then they don't do the shit that we need them to do because it's not helping the rich, the banks, and the corporations that are currently in power, who constantly enjoy all of the riches and the power that they gain, how they enjoy being disconnected from our society because they know they would never be welcome in our society because they don't care about our society. They don't care to actually help us create a well-functioning society, which is why they love to run away to their vacation homes, to their summer homes and their winter homes, everywhere where they can be separated from us because they know that they are full of shit. Because if they were actually cool, if they were actually helpful, if they actually helped us to create a well-functioning society, they could walk around with their heads up high and we would all love these motherfuckers because they would have helped us so greatly. But what they don't do is actually help us in these different ways. In fact, they love to gaslight us on a constant basis and think that throwing us crumbs every now and then is somehow helping us, while at the same time they're constantly poisoning us, constantly using us, abusing us, manipulating us with propaganda on a constant basis for us to believe, no, everything's totally perfectly fine. Look, just go to the store, continue buying products, go to work, keep giving us money while we continue feeding you crumbs, and then shut the hell up and go home before I knock your ass out and take your money and do whatever I can. Which we have to change this balance of power. We have to change the balance of power between us, the people, the proletariat, and the powers that be, the rich, the banks, the corporations, the industrial complex, the religion industrial complex, the pharmaceutical industrial complex, the prison industrial complex, the military industrial complex, all these different entities that are enriching themselves more and more and more and more and more, getting more and more and more and more money, despite the fact that they are fucking us and fucking us and fucking us in the ass on a constant basis, worsening and worsening and worsening our state of quality of life. At what point are we going to decide that enough is a fucking enough? When are we going to decide that these fools are literally destroying us? And that they cannot exist and profit without us? We are the economy. We, the people, are the economy. There is literally no economy without us. These fools literally don't exist without us. They don't make profits if we're not helping them to profit, if we're not utilizing their products and services. We are the ones keeping these bitch-ass motherfuckers afloat. And we, at any time, can decide, you fucks won't get no more of our shit. We are done with your shit. So what they do instead is they try to control the flow of information. They try to control the media as much as possible. That's why I talk about things like the CIA's Operation Mockingbird, how they've paid fools off or straight up planted fools into place so that they can gaslight you, so they can manipulate you, so that they can manipulate your thoughts into thinking that you need to believe this bullshit that they're disseminating on a constant basis. That's why they try to convince you, no. Just keep spending mindlessly, no matter what. There's nothing you can do. All these organizations are so powerful and you are just so helpless and you can't do nothing. Bullshit. Bullocks. It's like Sandra because it's bullocks. Bullocks. Nah. We always have strength in numbers. Always, no matter what. That's why I always talk about working interdependently with synergy. That's why it's like if you look at the universe and the way that it's constructed and all the things in it, everything is made up of trillions upon trillions upon trillions of everything. We got billions upon billions, perhaps trillions of galaxies, with each holding billions upon billions, perhaps trillions of stars, with each star having about 1.6 planets per star, and who knows how many moons, which means that there could be life scattered all over this motherfucking universe. And if there isn't, then that means we have a plethora. We have a giant universe that is ripe for the taking, and we, as Earthlings, we as human beings, need to begin the process of staking our claim, planting our fucking stamp on the fucking universe by letting it know that we are taking up the challenge of figuring all of this shit out and spreading ourselves all throughout this motherfucking universe. That we about to figure out what the hell all of this is. That we're going to try to figure out if there's life anywhere else. Go out of our way to try to build more and more and more and actually spread out. The unlimited growth model. It should be us, human beings, human life. The unlimited growth should be the growth of our population and our expansion throughout the cosmos, not bullshit upon bullshit upon bullshit, pretending all the time, every day, that this nonsense that we see on a constant basis makes fucking sense when we know America's the capital, the scam capital of the world, and we need to knock it off with the bullshit. That's why I created the no cap zone. That's why I have a strict dress code here. You come into the no cap zone, take that fucking cap off right now. Miss me with that capping ass bullshit. Because you will be escorted out of here in a very, very unfriendly manner. You insist and persist with capping around this mother. Hell no. Just like when people go to church and they tell you take your hat off, be respectful. Well, take that cap off when you come into the no cap zone. Miss me with that capping ass garbage. All that fake ass, lying ass, false ass, ignorant ass bullshit. It does not help us. It doesn't help us. It has never helped us, and it will never help us. So knock it off. We have a job that we have to do here. We have a goal that we need to accomplish, and that's becoming the Kardashev Type 1 civilization and beyond. That we actually want to evolve. We actually want to survive. We want to live. We want to live. We want to ensure we continue living. And we want to live enjoyable, wonderful, super duper long and awesome lives. Why the hell is that a problem? Why the fuck is that a problem? Because I want to live. Because I want to see you live. I want to see our parents live. I want to see everybody live. I want to see everybody live and be in a great state of mind, a great state of health, wealth, success, where we're not out in the streets begging for crumbs, where we're not out in the streets wondering what the fuck is going on, strung out on all these different substances, overdosing in the fucking alleyway because something we decided, nah, let's not focus on figuring out how to solve that. Let's instead pray and waste our time on a constant basis. For what? For what? We could be so much better. Right now, literally right now, the state that we found ourselves in America doesn't make any fucking sense. We should make the Jetsons look like a thing of the past. We could do that right now if we collectively decided the scientific method is indeed our best tool for understanding the nature of reality and being able to manipulate it to our collective benefit. Innovating new technology, innovating new fucking forms of technology that can transform our societies in ways we never even thought possible. Things like quantum computing, things like fusion energy, things like nanotechnology. We have barely even begun scratching the surface in terms of understanding what the hell all of this crazy shit is. Is it a simulation? Is it a multiverse, a superverse, an uberverse, an E8 lattice, or some other fucking crazy shit that we haven't even thought of? What the hell is this shit? Why are we not concerned with actually figuring it out? Why do people dismiss entire sciences like cosmology and astrophysics when these are the very tools that we need to understand as much as we can about everything? And so, yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to leave you with that. So thank you for coming through. Make sure you hit that like button. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Check out the Outrageous EP by your boy, The Ultimate Rage, which is available on all streaming platforms. And I mean all streaming platforms. I'm talking about Spotify. I'm talking about Apple Music. I'm talking about YouTube Music. I'm talking about Tidal. I'm the American Idol. In fact, Theism Is Suicidal. That's the reason why these haters have become my rival. We about to make a move west like Fivel. These dog niggas is bitches like Fido. I'm cold. Recognize, bro. Check out the Furious Styles Volume 1 mixtape, the link of which is in my description on my YouTube page. It can be found in my Discord. The link is on my page. Follow me on all social media pages at The Ultimate Rage. Yes. I mentioned this earlier, but I'm mentioning it again. I'm also on Patreon, patreon.com/theultimaterage. I keep things very consistent and simple around these parts. Patreon.com/theultimaterage. I just uploaded a new track that you probably haven't heard before, and it's dope as hell. $5 a month. I'm going to be uploading all types of shit there first. You'll get it there first unless you're getting it live here first. But if you ain't getting it live here, you're getting it there first. So check it out. And please believe me, I'm going to be back tomorrow, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're going to keep it going. We're going to keep getting it cracking. I'm going to keep talking about why we need to become a Kardashev Type 1 civilization and how we need to knock it off with all of the goofy shit. All around the world. We need to start acting reasonable people. Take that fucking cap off when you're in the no cap zone. Else I'm going to knock it off and then knock you off and get you out of here. Move around. Move the hell around. This is the no cap zone. I'll be back. I'll be back. Thank you for enjoying my show.